Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. We got some more Reddit posts to check out today, so be sure to like and subscribe and let's get into it, friends. They left their kid in the mall for a stranger to bring home. Hey guys, this happened a little while ago, so details are fuzzy, but I just saw a lady bringing awareness on leaving kids unattended, and it reminded me of this story. My family had been a fan of the Jurassic movies since the first one came out, and when this latest one was in the movie theater, we all stood in line for hours to get the last session after my dad left work. Mind you, that was around 10 p.m. on a Thursday. The movie was awesome. I really felt like a happy nerd. But the shock came as we were leaving the theater, and a boy around 7 or 8 years old approached my dad asking for a ride back home. Again, I have to explicitly put that the movie started at 11:30 p.m., and it ended at almost 2 a.m. The kid gave my dad an address on a paper, as my dad was half worried that it was some kind of scam, and half terrified that someone would actually abandon a child like that. And the little boy explained that his dad gave him money for the ticket and dropped him at the mall with no extra money for a cab. Only the address and the instruction to look for a ride from a family, not just an adult, for safety. My dad didn't want to risk his daughters with any possible danger and deeply considered calling the cops. But it was 2 a.m. and there was almost no life in sight. The cops usually take hours to show up where we live, and he had work the next day, so he decided to give the kid a ride. He told us how he really liked movies and rarely got a chance to see any, so when he did, it was usually by himself. My dad had a few choice words for his parents when we got to his house, but they were already asleep. The kid just walked in, locked the door, and waved us by from the window as we left, speechless. I know this could be his financial situation, but this is no excuse to leave your child alone like that. It was too late and too crowded for a little boy to walk around asking strangers to give him a ride. I to this day can't understand how his parents would sleep when they can't be sure if their child is coming back. I think it's important to say that the mall is close to a federal prison, where the worst of the worst are kept, and my parents felt uneasy even in our own house in that city. Please be mindful of your children, and even other children you see around, because some people are just not. Sit in a broken chair? If you say so. Several years ago, I worked in a group home helping people with mental illnesses. During the day, we had 2 to 3 staff working at a time. We would work with the clients, and then at the end of our shift, we would log what we did. There was one office with 3 computers in it. One day I came in, and the chair for one of those 3 desks was broke. It was obviously unsafe to sit in. I asked my coworkers if anyone had reported this to our manager. My coworkers told me that our manager stated the chair was not broken, even though it was cracked and leaning to one side. I thought it was so ridiculous I took a picture of the chair and sent it to my friends, and we all got a good laugh about the definitely not broken chair. The next day I came into work and everything was fine, until it was time to log everything in the computer. There were 3 of us, and now with only 2 usable desks, we had to take turns doing notes, while the other just sits there. Our manager came in and asked why one of us was just sitting there. We pointed out that the chair was unsafe, and we could not use the desk without it. Side note, just before I was hired to work here, I had a serious medical problem, in which for 9 months I was unable to eat solid food, and had lost so much weight I was only 80 pounds. My recommended weight is 140 for my body type. I was getting better, and my manager and coworkers were completely unaware that this was the reason for my weight. My boss insisted that the chair could be used. He then told my 2 other coworkers that they were too fat and that's why the chair broke. He stated that he wasn't going to buy any new office furniture until everyone in the office had lost weight, because we were costing the company money by damaging the furniture. He explained that I was a healthy weight. I most certainly was not, and everyone should be more like me. To prove that this chair was safe and obesity was the problem, my boss asked me to demonstrate to my coworkers how an ideal employee can use this chair. My boss was expecting me to sit in the chair carefully and cautiously, since it really was broken. But I wouldn't be here if that's what happened. I plopped down in the chair. It broke in half instantly and I fell to the ground. I then pointed out to my boss that company policy requests that he fill out an incident report due to my fall. The next day, my boss calls me into his office and shows me the incident report he filed, in which he told corporate that I had intentionally broken a usable chair. He explained that corporate was angry and had demanded that he take the cost of a new chair out of my paycheck. I mentioned that he forgot to add a few details to his report, which I would be happy to fill corporate in on. The first being the chair was indeed broken, and I had a picture from the day before the incident to prove it was already broken. My boss said I was lying. I showed him the photo and he went white. I further explained that he forgot to tell them he ordered me to sit in the chair, despite several people mentioning it looked unsafe, and I had 2 witnesses to that. I also mentioned that I felt corporate would love to know that he had told his employees they were too fat for new chairs, and I had 2 witnesses to that statement. I got up and stated that I would let corporate know now before I forgot. My boss panicked and stated that he would not take the cost out of my paycheck, and he would order new chairs, which we desperately needed for all the desks. Don't call my friends fat and try to push unhealthy body images. Keep rinsing the rice until the water runs clear? Got it. Years ago, I was a cook at a well-known fast casual restaurant, known for their large burritos and charging extra for guac. I worked hard because the place was very understaffed, given the number of customers that came in. Management was understanding, and we had to cut corners to make sure people did not wait for food. One of the rules we had to follow before cooking the rice was to, quote, rinse the raw rice 3 times until the water runs clear. Vague? I know. How clear is clear? What if after 3 rinses the water is not clear? 3 times and runs clear? Or 3 times or runs clear? Who knows? I did not ask. Most of the time we would give the rice 1 or 2 rinses before throwing it into the cooker. Never had any problems with customers complaining about it, and we never ran out of rice. Since there were never any problems, management did not care. Everyone was happy. That is until one day Miss Manager decides it is time to enforce every single rule exactly. Not sure why. To get to the position she was in, she knew how to do all the individual tasks in the kitchen, so she knew the rules. However, she did not know how to conduct the symphony of the dozens of simultaneous tasks at the speed and accuracy required to keep customers moving and to never burn anything. I did. She did not know which corners were okay to cut and which ones were not. I did. As I was getting ready for the busy shift, but the kitchen was not in busy mode yet, I am rinsing rice, and Miss Manager approaches me. Make sure to rinse the rice until the water runs clear. I look at her and respond. I always do. She knew I was lying, but she knew why. She knew that it would take longer to make the rice, but I was the only one who could make sure that rice never runs out. Her life would be hell if we ran out of rice. She had a chance to let it go. She did not, though. Mr. Cook, I know you don't follow that rule. Keep rinsing the rice until the water runs clear, and before you put this rice on the cooker, come find me and show me that it runs clear. I looked at her with a straight face and replied, keep rinsing the rice until the water runs clear? Got it. I begin. Fill the pot of rice with water, agitate the rice, pull out the perforated part of the pot, and dump out all the cloudy water. After 3 times, the water still resembles water skim milk. I look up. She is watching me. She asks, does that water look clear to you? It was rhetorical. I see how it is. I start rinsing again. Satisfied, she walks away. I continue repeating the process. A while goes by and yes, I am counting the number of times. The long grains of rice are breaking apart, and the entire pot is turning into a strange mushy mixture of white rice. Given the time I am taking on this dumb task, everything else that needs to get started in the kitchen is falling behind. Finally, Miss Manager appears in the kitchen again. You're still rinsing rice? The timing was perfect. I dump out the water in front of her and ask, does that water look clear to you? As I dump out the precursor to slightly watered down horchata, she softly says, no. I step away from the sink. How many times do you think I've rinsed this rice? I ask. 7, she answers. No, try 37. I wasn't joking. I rinsed this rice 37 times, and the water is not running clear to your satisfaction. Should I continue? She looks at the rice, knows it is unusable, and that she has lost the fight. On one hand, she cannot tell me to keep going, because the ground up rice was only a few rinses and a cook away from becoming grits. On the other hand, she cannot tell me to stop rinsing, because then she would be in violation of the sacred rice rinsing commandment. Additionally, she cannot fire me, otherwise the store could not open. She scheduled me to work the entire day, and she sure knows that she could not do what I do in the kitchen. Fine, she relents. Get back in there and make sure we're ready when it's time to open. I laughed to myself as I went back to work. I win. You can't park there. My own driveway. Okay, so here's one from last week that made me laugh a bit. A water pipe cracked and was starting to overwhelm the street drains. UK. Yorkshire Water called. I left for dialysis. Come home to find for a water leak 4 vans had turned up. Somehow made it worse. What was a medium-sized leak was now shooting water 2 feet into the air. With the streets so full of cars and it being narrow, I backed into the drive where my sis normally parks, as I can't walk far and I otherwise would have to park out on the street and walk back about 200 feet. I can manage 40 on a good day. The whole time I'm backing in, one of our new neighbors that rented the house across the street and a couple doors down was watching me, looking more and more angry. I dragged my butt out of the car to hear her. You can't park there, my husband was going to. I look at her, shrug, and lock up the car, and go ask the contractor how long they think we will be without water. They had managed to hook my home up to a backup supply, due to my disability, thank heck. Move your car now, she says. I live here and it's my driveway. You ever park on it, I will pay for a tow truck and have your car towed from my property. Karen looks at me with a grin. Liar, the owner's car is green, yours is red. Oh yeah, that's my sister's car. I'll move mine when she gets home from work if she asks. She looks at me like a fish out of water with her mouth gaping as I enter my house and lock the door. I text my sister and tell her. She replied to leave my car where it is, and to make sure I did lock the door, in case this new idiot tries something. Of course, she did knock on the door a few times, demanding I move so her husband can park there with their son's car on the driveway of the house they're renting. The only engagement she got from me was me angrily opening the upstairs window and saying, I'm trying to sleep, you moron. Get off my property, you are trespassing and not welcome. Apparently she waited after that for my sister to come home from work, and had to go at her. Thing is, my sister is a self-confessed Karen in her own right. I woke up to a lot of screeching and a threat of the cops being called, and my sister telling her to leave her disabled brother alone. I don't know what it is about the one place on my street that's a rental, but we keep getting Karens and entitled people moving in for 3 to 6 months at a time. Karen's husband seems cool though. Came over and apologized, and said he will keep her under control as he works from home. So far so good. Been quiet for a few days now. Guess I'll see what happens. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to drop a like, I'd really appreciate it. And also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So I'm out of here. Have an awesome day and stay tuned for more. See you next time.